Hey guys, my name is Alex and I'm gonna talk to you about books. So I'm at a point right now where I'm in like kind of a tight financial situation. Like if you shouted into my wallet, it would echo. In fact, I have to be careful about how often I even look into my wallet because there's always the chance that I might fall in. Which isn't to say that like I'm not eating or I can't get gas to go to work or I can't like cover my bills or anything. What I intend to communicate to myself when I say that I'm in a tight financial situation is that I cannot buy books. Every now and then I feel like a book comes out that is an exception to the rule. I put some sort of emotional or cultural import on like the commercial release of a certain book, and I want to be able to read it at the same time that it's coming out and everyone else is reading it and it's being reviewed everywhere. And so today, Tuesday, new release day, I bought this. I think it's backwards there and glared out, but it's Peril, the concluding book in Bob Woodward's trilogy about the Trump administration. Part of why I thought, like, you know, now, like I should buy it today on release day is because, as I think I've mentioned in one of the recent videos, I just finished writing a novel and I've been working on it for, I don't know, like 6 months. And in my research for the novel, I read a biography of Jimmy Carter, a biography of Ronald Reagan, a biography of Bill Clinton, and I'm pretty sure that in all three of those books, certainly in the Bill Clinton book, there's heavy reference to like the presence of Bob Woodward on the administration's radar. If you've ever watched like a Japanese horror movie about ghosts, that's how presidential administrations tend to feel about knowing that Bob Woodward is on the campus. And so I thought, yes, I'm not in a financial position to be buying books right now, but you know, it is sort of like an American tradition, a new Bob Woodward book, right? That's grounds to buy a book for retail price. And so I'm wondering, how do you lie to yourself? In my senior year of high school, we had to read Hamlet as a class. And I remember getting into this, and I haven't read Hamlet in a very long time. We get into the scene where Polonius is like seeing his son off to college or war. It's been a while, but Polonius is giving him like this very exhaustive talk of like fatherly wisdom that you would, I think dads kind of fantasize about bestowing onto their children as they're going out the door. And famously he says, you know, brevity is the soul of wit. But I think maybe the most famous line of Polonius's speech is "To thine own self be true." And my teacher at the time, he was saying, okay, and you know, a rough translation of "to thine own self be true" is don't lie to yourself. And when I was 17 and I heard him say this, I was like, hey, how can you lie to yourself? You have no... Because I was thinking, like, in order to tell a lie, you have to know the truth. How am I, Alex, going to say, hey, Alex, this thing, this is the truth, not this? It just didn't make sense. Kind of like logically, it did not come together. Now, however, in the florid decrepitude of my 30th year, I am so good at lying to myself, and one of the main occasions for lying, this is not an exaggeration, I'm sure you can hear the lawnmower going on outside. I live in a very congested neighborhood called Little Havana, and I shit you not, the only lawn in my entire on this block is right beneath my window. It is not the lawn of my building. My building doesn't have a lawn, nor does the one over there, or the one over there, or the one over there. And when the lawnmower stops, you hear like the trucks go by this little street. My street is like some delinquent, air-choked Thomas the Train. First it's an ambulance, then it's a logging truck, then it's a fucking Walmart semi. Also, cars are being towed left and right. And anyways, the way I most often lie to myself, I think, is when it comes to buying books. And the most like egregious kind of lie that I employed in order to sort of justify my buying an exorbitantly priced book was almost a year ago to the day now. It was last November when I was trying to buy Obama's memoir. Like in the weeks prior to Obama's memoir coming out, I was reading a little like philosophical novel. I was reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Pirsig, and I really liked it. And I realized it's got a cult following and their acronym for it is ZAM. And one of the ideas in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance is that by putting your hands, okay, he's talking about how machines can have a personality. You can take two motorcycles that are of the exact same make and model and year, whatever. One of them spends its years in the East Coast. One of them spends its years in Iowa. And so, the one that spent its years in sort of a coastal town, maybe it's got salt damage from the sea, a little bit chafed by the sand, whereas its counterpart, its identical, like, twin counterpart that spent its years in, like, the freezing winters of Iowa or wherever, that motorcycle will, you know, maybe its metal is a little more contracted because of all the who knows? And he's saying that, like, by working on his motorcycle, by feeling it out, by just tending to it meticulously day after day, makes him conscious of and appreciative of the ways in which the body of his motorcycle has become a kind of text which is scarred with the experiences that he shared with it. The rust on the side of the bike is a testament to how often he drove it in, you know, damp environments. What? Anyways, as I was reading the book, I was like, okay, that's an interesting sort of like romantic idea, but I wasn't really swayed by it. I wasn't swayed by it until suddenly Robert Pirsig's argument like worked in my favor toward lying to myself to justify buying a book. I told myself with Obama's memoir that it's, you know, it's like 740 pages. I'm going to be reading this thing for, you know, 10 days or so. And I always remember fondly how Michael Silverblatt, who's like one of my fucking heroes. I love Michael Silverblatt. You need to listen to his show, Bookworm, on KCRW. But he was interviewing the novelist and general essayist William Gass. Gass had just published this novel that he'd been working on for 30 years called The Tunnel. And Silverblatt was saying, you know, this is such a difficult book. I sat with it for so long. It demanded so much of me. And he partly communicates the intimacy of his bond with the book by the fact that it's got coffee stains on it. It's got ketchup stains on it, wine stains on it. He says, I yawned with this book. I coughed and farted with this book. He makes the actual handheld thing into a romantic, sentimental object. And so I was telling myself, like, fuck, I'm gonna be reading this Obama book for 10 days. It's really big. Yes, it was, I think, less than half of the the hardcover book was $45 fucking dollars, $50 with tax. And on Amazon, it was $17.99. Also, I wake up very early, and so had I bought it on Amazon, I would have been able to start reading it at like 12:01 a.m. Whereas if I wanted to get it from Books and Books in Coral Gables, I would have to wait until they opened their doors at 10 a.m. But I also justified the purchase by saying, oh, the money is going to my local independent bookstore. It's going back into the community. And, but it's just a lie, you know, grounds for buying something I really didn't need to buy, at least not at that moment. Because I read, in researching the novel that I just finished, I read Bob Woodward's 2 other books about Trump. Both of those books were huge bestsellers when they first came out. Both of them cost $30. And because there was such a rush to buy them as soon as they came out, it was like, I don't know, 2 months before they were available for $1 on eBay. Anyways, having bought the book, I was like, you know what I should do? I should at least make a video about it so that I can also use that to justify why I fucking bought this book. If you have any particularly useful tactics for lying to yourself, if you have any general thoughts about self-deception, let me know in the comments. And I will talk to you next time.